Hey folks, welcome back. The George Sand update recently dropped, and well, naturally we're going to be playing a game. But we're going to have something particular in mind this time around. I am going to be going for a ransack build. And I don't usually talk about builds in the context of humankind. I'm a little bit more adaptive, but the idea with the ransack build, so to speak, is to take cultures that provide benefits to ransacking. Recently, with the George Sand update, there have been some changes to some of the cultures that give them additional benefits to ransack. So the Assyrians were granted a ransack bonus as part of their legacy trait. The Goths got improvements to their ransack abilities that increase the amount of science that they get from it. So basically the plan is to take the Assyrians in the ancient, the Goths in the classical, and then either the Norsemen or the Mongols in the medieval era. And then kind of following that, we'll play along the same themes, maybe the, I can't remember the name, the Buccaneers or the Caribbean Pirates, something along those lines in the early modern that gets some benefits to plundering trade routes. And then the ransacking kind of falls off later in the game from there, but we're going to keep up with that theme, maybe picking like the British or something like that for vassals, but we'll see how it goes. I'm really just curious how long you can kind of sustain your gameplay, really relying on getting ransack bonuses to generate golds and science to some extent once you pick the Goths, and seeing if that really makes up for the lack of economic bonuses that you can get from picking other cultures. So before we get in, I will note that I'll reroll if for some reason I can't get the Assyrians, or if I don't start near horses, because obviously this kind of build is dependent on getting horses. If you're the Assyrians, if you don't have horses, you may as well pick someone else. So I am playing on Pangaea. I ran this a couple times, kind of like with two continents in the early stages, and I found I became so dominant so quickly that I couldn't sustain my economy anymore because everyone else was like just so defeated within, the first 50 turns that there was basically no one else to ransack. So I want everyone to be on the same continent. We are doing 60% land percentage, similar to my last game, rather than 70, and that puts everyone a little bit closer together. Of course, we're going to be on normal pace and humankind difficulty, and I have turned exclusive cultures back on for this game. I prefer if everyone's a different culture. It's going to be pretty unlikely I ever have this feature turned off. But let's get into it, and I'll see you in a moment. All right, folks, here we are in the Neolithic, and we have a fairly promising start here, just starting right on top of a river with some food available directly adjacent. This game, we're going to be looking for two kind of key things. One, which is a decent river start, which you really want every single game. Rivers are kind of the foundation of your economy in the early game. And two, we're going to need horses in order to get our emblematic units. I will say I'm walking back something that I said in the opening. I wound up turning exclusive cultures back off. I found like every single game, the Assyrians were already taken by the time that I could advance to the next era. And I just don't want to deal with continually re-rolling until like the one time where I get the perfect game that allows me to get the Assyrians. So I've just allowed myself to get the Assyrians at the cost of allowing for duplicate cultures. So we're hunting this deer here, and that will importantly get us our second population and let us get like a really early outpost down if we want to. We are going to want to do that. I'm going to separate these. Okay, so Sanctuary is right there, so that's where the deer are spawning from. So key thing with the Assyrians is trying to get as much influence as we can in the Neolithic. We want to have, ideally, multiple outposts, and the influence to drop Dunus on those outposts from the moment that we enter the ancient era. So right now I'm debating which one of these spots is actually the best. Plus 14 food doesn't actually support more population over plus 12 food. So I'm actually going to take that spot right there. Early game, it's multiples of 6 that gets you extra population, scales up the more population you have. We're going to continue hunting this deer, and if you haven't been keeping up with changes in the beta, there are now multiple options for era stars, basically. Or not for era stars, for legacy traits in the Neolithic. So each of these stars gets you a different option for a legacy trait, and you can have all of them. I've found in the past that there are you typically don't want to like delay going up to the ancient era. It's more important to get to the ancient. Oh my god, amazing horses in the territory we already settled. It's more important to get to the next era than it is to like wait around to get like additional stars in the Neolithic, because the star was only tied to, or sorry, the legacy trait was only tied to the knowledge star, and the rest didn't matter. But now, like, there are pretty reasonable options for all of these. So the growth star gives an option between +1 food per pop or +1 money per pop. Knowledge gives +1 industry or +1 science per population. And the hunter star gives +1 CS or on all your units, or +1 influence per population. Whoops, I did not mean to go that way. I must have had my right mouse button held down. I wanted to go down here. So they're all reasonably good options, and incentivizes staying in the late game, or in the early game in the Neolithic for longer. I'm actually going to take the +20 influence. I feel pretty confident about my ability to get the growth star in my current position, given that I have food available. We're going to send this tribe down this way, see if there are any other reasonable spots we could put an outpost, and that spot right there seems pretty promising. So we're going to make our way back this way because we need to continue hunting the deer. So the hunter star is going to be the most important one for us this game, because both of those options are very good for the strategy that we want to pursue. So if we go for +1 CS, obviously, going to be good for more militaristic games in general, which this is definitely going to be. It can help you, demolish the AI, basically. I find it's particularly good if you're starting really close to someone and want to rush them, basically. We'll come back to that in a second. The other option, the +1 influence, I think is probably going to be the option that we take this run. The +1 influence per population allows us to place a lot of the Dunus down. So the Dunus, the emblematic quarter for the Assyrians, which I can actually show you. So the Dunu, it's a garrison. You get +3 influence base, and importantly, you can actually purchase it on outposts using influence. So that means that you can plop these down and just get +3 influence straight up. So it's almost like having the Olmec legacy trait, but you need to invest some influence in order to get it. But critically, once you unlock one of the civics, you can move along the Liberty tree that gives extra influence on your emblematic quarters. So you can stack that up really quickly to get +5 influence per Dunu and get a really solid influence income as the Assyrians that you can keep growing as you add more outposts to your territory. So that's kind of the early strategy here. So Thriving Legacy, this +1 money, this is from the Growth Star, or +1 food. I would say typically the +1 money per population is more valuable. +1 food per population, not quite as good. There are some cases where you could take it. I'd say like the Babylonians would be a good use case for it. Or just going to go for the +1 money per population. I think it's just, money is just a harder output to get, so it's hard to justify taking food over money. Especially when food is by its nature limited by your population anyway. It's just kind of weird. Okay. We have some fairly solid territories here, I would say. I'm going to send kind of one tribe just to hang around this sanctuary, and the other can continue exploring. Okay, 2 wonders kind of in the same area here. Would be an interesting game for the Nazca. Unfortunately, that's not what we're pursuing. This actually looks like pretty decent territory up there. I wouldn't mind making that a city later in the game. Okay, so we can get +1 industry per pop or +1 science per pop. Again, science is harder to get in the early game relative to industry, so we're going to take the +1 science per population. I'm hoping a deer spawns. Doesn't look like it will. I'm going to take Swift for the extra movement speed. Movement speed is very valuable, particularly in the early game, but really throughout the course of the entire game, and I'll go into why in a little bit. The AI doesn't want to come to me. That's really unfortunate. Let's see if we move a little closer. Okay. So I'm hoping now that it's seed me, I can kind of retreat onto that river, and or back from the river, and it'll continue to pursue me. There it is. Okay. Should be good. So we'll attack from there. Okay. Fairly easy. Had me worried for a second there, but no problems. And then move up here. We'll take out this deer, and this will let us get the last legacy trait that we need. Alright. There's the Hunter Star. And if I remember correctly, I actually have no idea. I feel like you need something like 63 influence to get a Dunu, but I'm not sure if that's accurate to play like that. Okay, so they're going to start down there again, so we kind of already know what we need to do here. And go down there. Something like that. We'll attack here. We'll back up. Just keep baiting this mammoth back. And we'll finish that next turn. So the way that, the thing I don't like about non-exclusive cultures, we're going to take this +1 influence per population. The thing I don't like about non-exclusive cultures is that it kind of changes the calculus on when you go up and makes it kind of too easy, basically. I can like delay going up as long as I want and still guarantee that I get the culture that I want. So like I could hunt this mammoth to get that extra influence to improve the start of my game, whereas I think normally I would just take the Assyrians as soon as I had all the legacy traits. Or, you know, even earlier, just bearing in mind that there's one very critical one that I want. Okay. Let's separate these guys. I'm going to send this guy up this way. The other thing about having that +1 money per population is that it's going to help us support our relatively sizable number of armies here. Okay, so Assyrians. So the Assyrians get +1 land movement speed on unit. Land movement speed is really useful, allows you to reposition armies and strike enemy armies very easily, and it applies to battles as well. So you get the movement speed both on the map and in the battle. I think something that people overlook with the land movement speed, though, is that it's actually an economic buff in the early game, because when you're exploring the map, you run across the curiosities that provide you things like gold and science. So the more you can move, the more of the curiosities you can find, and the more income you can generate through exploration. They do get a +5 combat strength bonus when ransacking, so ransacking is a little faster, and they've added the +100% ransack gains on army, so it doubles the benefit that you get from ransacking. They have the Assyrian Raiders. They're a cavalry unit. You get them at one of the very first techs in the game, domestication. They do require horses, but they have the pillager trait, so they get an extra bonus to money when they're ransacking and have a pretty high combat strength. And then the Dunu we talked about earlier. It's a garrison that also provides some influence and counts as a commons quarter. So let's grab the Assyrians here. And here we go. So we can found a city. Right, it's only 26. So we're going to place this in basically a far-off location where we're unlikely to actually... Yeah, I think like up here seems fairly unlikely to be particularly critical to anything. Though I may attach... I suppose if these two become a city, I might need that. I'm thinking about like with this gemstone here, I may want markets around it. Is usually a pretty good use of territory like this. But on the other hand, this is also like good Maker's Quarter kind of territory. But I feel like this is going to be the most forward for spawning units to kind of move them towards opponents. So I'm going to go ahead and grab them there. Oh yeah, and we met the Mycenaeans. Okay, they're going to be a tough customer for this strategy. We'll see how it goes. Because the emblematic unit that they have is pretty solid. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing over here. Build a Dunu, we're going to build it up there as well. And this has just better outputs overall, so I'll go ahead and make this my city. We'll grab the +6 faith on main plaza. I don't expect my cities to be particularly large this game, and you need several attached territories for the other option to outweigh the +6 faith on main plaza. Actually, I don't have any scouts heading towards that, so let's make sure we grab that. And going to have this guy come back. We're going to disband them. And we're going to put them on science because we want domestication as quickly as possible. So 2 turns to research domestication, and we're going to build the pottery workshop in the meantime. We'll run down here and ransack the sanctuary. As you can see, I'm getting +43 gold from ransack there, and you can already see the effect of the Assyrian legacy trait coming into play. So we'll see if that's actually able to sustain me throughout this game. So my intention is to play very aggressively towards my neighbor here, even though they're the Mycenaeans, and really not the ideal target, but I'm already committed to this strategy. So we're going to grab +5 influence on main plaza, quite important to make sure we keep our influence generation up. We're going to take, going to take 2 of these and kind of send them after the mammoth that's prowling around over here. And we're going to take these guys and keep moving to the west there. Don't really want to hunt the 1 mammoth. You can do it with scouts, but I'd rather keep him healthy so he can continue to explore and find me more curiosities. Okay. So, we have army composition. So the one we're interested in is this +1 combat strength on unit. This moves us to the liberty side of this tree. So it gives us +2 influence on emblematic districts at the cost of 5 stability on our cities. We're going to take professional soldiers. And let's continue exploring this way. Some more horses here. That'll be important for when we take the Goths. So the Goths emblematic unit requires, I think, 8 horses. Another wonder there. Natural wonder. Okay. They have lower combat strength than I do, but they'll get +2 on defense. I want to see if I can get these scouts combined and try to attack that particular outpost before they manage to completely settle it and attach it to their territory. Don't know where this deer spawns. There he is. So next turn, we're going to grab the civic that reduces the cost of settling outposts. Also quite important for our strategy. Okay, we're going to hold off on buying the horse stuff. Actually, I take that back because we want those as soon as possible. So we're going to move everyone onto industry. We're going to buy the horses. We're going to purchase the pottery workshop, and we're just going to immediately start working on the Assyrian raiders. Okay. And then if we have the option to buy those raiders, we're going to do so. Okay, we have another target over here, which is good for us. We want people nearby. Okay, we're going to combine these. We're going to be playing very aggressively this game, so there's going to be a lot of conflicts. The whole purpose of this strategy really is to play as oppressively as possible towards our neighbors. Okay. Definitely going to attach here, I think, rather than taking that civic. Ideally, I would have entered this era with a little more influence than I did, like having a third outpost down. Not the way it panned out this game, but that's fine. Just a little bit slower of a start in some ways than I've had, but in some ways a little bit of a faster start. Okay, let's go on this territory and see if we can figure out who that is. Okay, so I'm going to buy those raiders, and we're going to start on irrigation to make sure we have the food to support population in the city. Going to attach here. That's going to give us some population to work with, as well as a little bit of extra industry, which will expedite the production. And I forgot to set the spawn point to that Dunu right there, so we're spawning people as close to our opponent as possible. We're just going to walk right there and start pillaging. Excuse me. Sometimes I develop a bit of a cough when I'm talking a lot for these videos. Okay, who's this? 2 Mycenaeans. Interesting. Okay. This is the kind of funniness that you get when you have non-exclusive cultures, but we'll deal with it. Alright. Okay, 1 turn for our second set of raiders here. And I want to make sure I'm holding some scouts in reserve that can create outposts for me. But before I do that, I'm going to reduce the create outpost cost, and then I can actually start getting more outposts down. Ideally, I would have been doing that already, but I had a couple other priorities first. I think these 2 territories down here are going to be a pretty natural extension of Assur here. Though, ideally, I would be grabbing some luxuries, so I may take this territory first. Alright. No need to buy that. I can't move him when I buy him anyway, so if you're down to 1 turn production, there's not really any purpose to buying out units most of the time, unless you you need them to be involved in a battle that's like directly on the city or something. Okay, move this guy up here as well. We're going to be playing very, very aggressively towards the Mycenaeans here. Okay, see what an outpost can get me down here. It's a little far away. Rather keep myself more condensed. This is a pretty nice balance of food and production there. On the other hand, these guys are a little far away. What would it... 37 down here. Give me access to some luxuries, but I think I can delay that in favor of something that's a little bit closer to home that I can attach and increase the outputs of my city. Okay, let's go up here. Kind of funny terrain. There's a lot of ups and downs. Okay. Oops. I think I want another set of, or at least one more raider. So this is where things will get a little bit funny. The idea with the Assyrian raiders, with like your closest neighbor, is to get them so fast that you put the enemy under siege in their city before they have the chance to actually create any real military. And there's really nothing that their garrison can do about it. Because they're just too weak, and the Assyrian raiders have a fair bit of combat strength. I'm going to go ahead and make this attack here, I think. Their flag is... I thought their flag was going to be on the river. Well, that was a mistake. Okay, I'm just going to let this guy retreat, I think. It's fine that I lost. I'll lose a little bit of war score, but it's fine. Make sure we finish that pillage. And down here, we're fine with taking Defiant. Minor stability penalty for a few turns is really not an issue at this point in the game. It's a little more light exploration, and then we'll combine these two scouts to kind of bully that outpost right there. I'm going to bring this guy back so I can get an outpost over here as well. Excuse me. Another player over here. I'm going to leave that outpost alone. Good to know that there's horses there. Okay. And we're going to immediately proceed to Mykene to put it under siege. Take this manual battle. They kind of made the same mistake that I did here. Goodbye. Okay. Black, the Olmecs. They would have been a little bit easier to bully, but they're a little far away. Olmecs, pretty good for Pangea, honestly. Especially with the changes to Esthetes. That was a while ago, but they generate a lot more influence from Cultural Blitz now, and it's pretty easy to activate. Okay. Gonna roll up here, and we're just going to let our scout move out, and we're gonna put Mykene under siege. So we're not going to assault, we're just going to maintain the siege. And remember, this is their only city at this point in the game, right? So there's no possibility they're making any units to come reinforce, and you know they don't have the tech to reinforce with armies, right? You need one of the technologies, specifically, what is it called? Organized warfare. So there's basically nothing they can do about that siege, even though it's impossible for me to outright attack them, right? Because I can't move through the... Go up here. Because they can't... Whoa. Why does it... I don't know why that happens. But basically what I'm trying to say is that because they're under siege up here, they can't do anything. I just starve them out. And you can do that from a really long distance away as the Assyrians, right? Because your emblematic unit is a horse unit, so it naturally has a lot of movement, and you have the extra movement from your legacy trait. So you can really quickly get some really cheap and very high combat strength units that you can then just roll over to your opponents and start sieging them. And they will frequently do this where they sally out. So I'm going to do something like this. So this will allow these raiders to tank the enemy, basically. And as you can see, they are substantially higher combat strength. Okay, so we're just going to move this to a spot where they won't attack us. And next turn, this will get resolved, because they'll keep attacking. They will pretty frequently sally out in order to do stuff like that. I'm going to start pillaging there. And on the next turn, we'll go after that scout. Okay, you can take army wages, and we're going to take paid wages once we have the opportunity here. And I am more interested in getting this up as soon as possible, so I'm just going to take lower output outposts, because I want to start getting Dunus. Okay. So everyone's going to hate me this game, and we're fine with that. Okay. Ah, that's a big set of units there. Let's avoid them. So longer term, the Olmecs are probably a bigger threat than the Mycenaeans, but these guys are going to be easier to attack because they're closer. Actually, let's go on expert policy here. I'm going to do something like that, I think. Pretty typical setup for me. And let's put one person on science, I think, just so we can get irrigation faster. Throat's a little irritated today. Hopefully I'm not sick or something. I've just been sick, so. Okay, so we want to attack this unit because it may be their last unit in the game. And we want to wipe this player out and secure ourselves a solid starting position. We've also met another player up here. All right. Great. So, cleared out. We're going to force their surrender. They're going to give us all their stuff. I'm going to make that demand just in case they have other people wandering around. And we can stop that pillage there, actually. And we're going to send this raider down this way. We're going to go ahead and buy that Maker's Quarter and start working on another raider. We're also going to, I forgot to buy a Dunu down here. We're going to buy it just kind of out of the way. This one's not going to be an important spawn point by any means. And we're going to go ahead and attach that outpost. That'll give us a little bit of extra food and production. Okay. Up here, got one turn on that. And we're going to move up to this area here. We're interested in getting an outpost here due to the number of kind of luxuries in this area. And up in Mykene, let's grab the pottery workshop first, a little more efficient. We do need, we would like to have a Dunu. Be kind of funny having a little wall of garrisons here. Let's just do it. I like the aesthetics of it. Okay. Whatever, just withdraw demands, it's fine. I want to trade luxuries. I'm fine with that for now. Obviously later we'll be a little more aggressive towards them. Would be nice to have an envoy at the moment, because I am generating a lot of grievances, but I don't really have the tech output to support it for the time being. All right. Okay, so we can reduce the cost of both garrison and commons quarters, the production cost, if we feel like it. I'm going to go ahead and boost research here. Don't feel like paying money. And let's move these guys over here. I'm going to bring that unit over here, and we're going to try to go for the same strategy on Knossos. Hopefully they don't have a more solidified military yet. We will find out. I see. Blue is trying to get back in the game. We'll need to take care of that. Send that scout over there. In the meantime, let that guy heal. We're going to heal him up, and we're kind of going to go bully the Carolins. They're a very easy target at this point in the game. I'm going to grab carpentry, just in case I have cause to get archers, and then we're going to go into writing. That'll help bolster our science a little bit, and potentially get us a competitive deed. Oh. Make sure we finish that ransack. So 94 money there is not bad. Let's come up here. Let's take this fight. I think I can just play this defensively. Oh, and they're going to sit on the river on low ground. I can absolutely defeat them. Okay. Alright. Some hostile people running around there. So I might not be able to get to that outpost, so I'm hoping they kind of get there for me. I'm going to pay to heal this raider here. And we're going to go bully another player. Okay, Cyclopean Fortress in a pretty good spot here to prevent our movements. Let's see. I am definitely going to make this demand here. Just going to retreat. I don't really need to fight that. Okay, we have another set of raiders coming up. I would also really like to get envoys because there's a lot of potential leverage being generated that I don't want to miss out on. I'm going to refuse the non-aggression pact. I'm going to be playing aggressively towards literally everyone in this game. Unfortunately, it seems pretty unlikely that I'll be able to do anything about this outpost because the AI love going after players. If that were a player outpost, they would absolutely be pillaging it. Go ahead and make this attack here, and the next turn we're going to pop down there to pillage. And we could advance to the next era, and if we were going to go for, like, the Huns, we would probably do that. But we're fine camping out in this era for now. Actually, I think I can get over here in time with this new raider. I can't, so I'm going to go ahead and combine this set of raiders so I can attack Knossos. A little trapped in here. Alright, up here. See what we're working with. Not great terrain. That's going to make it a little tough. I'm going to have to try to go around there. Okay, well, let's not slow down my do-new stuff. We'll go ahead and claim this territory. It does have a wonder in it, that Akama Desert, so that'll benefit us later. We just want to make sure we're spitting out do-news as much as we can. Alright, Knossos, you're next. So we're going to maintain, and they're going to sally. Same kind of strategy here, which is let them come to me. So I'm positioning myself where they're going to have to take some kind of penalty in order to attack me, or in order to be on the flag, right? So right here, obviously they're sitting on a river, and I can attack down onto that river from high ground. I didn't want to deploy right here because that would put them in a position where they could attack me from 2 spots on the high ground, which is something they would absolutely take advantage of. So I will say, it does seem a little silly that they sally out at first pass. But if you're in their position where you don't have, where you... Oh, they captured my flag. Shit. Why did I do that? That was so stupid. That was really, really stupid of me. Now I can't attack this on the next turn, and I could have easily taken that flag. Fuck! Before I decide what to do here, let me go around and see if there's another route to... Yeah, I can get over there. I'm just going to declare war on them, too. So what I was talking about with the sally out is that... it seems silly that they sally out because, you know, we know they're not going to win that sally, right? But, you know, if you're in their position, there's actually not much else that you can do. And that's the best opportunity you have to win. Because they can't reinforce, right? They can't... Right, so, okay, sorry, I'm getting a little distracted thinking about where I'm going. Why did I... Oh my god, I'm not paying attention now. So, they can't reinforce, because they don't have the proper technology to do that. And their production is disabled on their city, so they can't build any units in order to defend, right? So, as you're sieging, the levies eventually get starved out. So the best opportunity they have is actually right when you attack them. So in this instance, it actually makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and put the horses right there. We'll see what they do. Actually, I suppose that was low ground there. I could have stayed up on these 2 tiles and it would have been fine. So let's not make the same mistake of... leaving my flag captured this time, but doesn't seem like it'll matter this time. Okay. I'm going to go for Prosperous, for that extra money will be quite useful. Also have some civics I should think about. So, I'm actually going to... I'm going to leave this one for now. So the thing is, if we look at the next era, with the Goths, the Tumulus is a Commons Quarter, and the Dunu also counts as a Commons Quarter. So we might be more interested in things that provide benefits to Commons Quarters than to garrisons. However, I'm going to provide... or get paid wages, because that's going to increase my combat strength of my units by kind of moving along this axis right here towards homeland. Okay. So that city's under our control. You have to wait another turn here. Really unfortunate mistake on my part there. Not a mistake I should have made, but I just wasn't paying attention. Okay, well, I did not activate buyout. Let's grab flood irrigation is going to be important here. We have almost no food in the city. Okay. Let's try this again. I'm not sure what happened to that unit that was in there. Okay, they're going to try to dislodge me again. A little more vulnerable this time. I'm going to put my low health units up here. Let's do that. Move them out of the way. If they go down onto this flag, that's totally fine. That's low ground, right? So I can easily kill them. We'll bring him in here to attack. There we go. So we now have that city. Okay. We enforce the surrender of the Carolins, and we are going to do that. Just give us all your stuff, please. Thank you. Okay, so we're actually going to do something a little silly here, which is detach. Going to build the Dunu, kind of in an out-of-the-way spot, and then we'll reattach that territory later. Because I don't want to pay the production cost for it, but I'm very interested in increasing my influence output. Okay, so let's see, black. You don't need to attack them, really. We'll leave them alone for the time being. Maybe like up here. You know, that's pretty good territory up there. We'll just go down here. On the other hand, might as well attack them while they're vulnerable, right? Okay. See if green has anything else. Still being pillaged. Need to explore up this way, get a better idea of the terrain that's available. Sure, we're picking up these curiosities. You're going to wait because I want you to put down some outposts, and we're going to make another couple raiders as well to kind of head over in that direction. Okay. Where do I want the outposts up here? Suppose I can detach this one as well. I'm going to do that. I know it seems a little counterintuitive. This is going to be somewhat influence intensive, but I'd rather use the influence because I'm generating a decent amount of it than use the production in the city to do this. Okay, so I can force the surrender of the Mycenaeans, where I'm going to take their city as well. And I'm still working on pillaging this particular outpost here. So I'm already at 4 out of 2 cities. Trying to remember. Yeah, I didn't think so. I think my next +1 city comes up here at philosophy. So I'm going to need to think about that. I'm also doing terrible on science at the moment, which I suppose is to be expected. Let's take one of these raiders out of the queue. I want to maintain some population in Ossuar. I'm already battling an influence deficit. Which is unusual for this point in the game, being just 2 over the city cap. I suppose it's pretty quick to be over the city cap. There is a question of, do I want to pillage one of these cities? Like, is one of these cities particularly bad? There is a case for pillaging this one, I think. I just can't sustain being 2 over the city cap this early in the game. Yeah, let's get rid of this one. I can resettle this later. Like, it's not a terrible city. I could definitely work with it, especially having gotten it this early in the game, but it's not worth being in an influence deficit. Let's get a garrison out of the way down there. I'm going to refuse that because I'm coming after the Olmecs next. Let's take a look and see what they have. Okay, the Hittites. Still hanging out. Okay. Let's get flood irrigation here. And Animal Barns actually provides a little bit more than flood irrigation does. Get that first. And Lumberyard is not bad. So we'll start with Lumberyard. And this seems like an okay city. I feel like Mykene might be slightly better, but the infrastructure is not going to affect it quite as much. Should grab Animal Barns in there too. I'm thinking about where I want to purchase. I think I'm going to buy the Lumberyard in Gnosis here. It has potential to be a pretty decent city. Retreat from that one. Okay. So we have our influence back on track. Okay, San Lorenzo has warriors. And I do not have organized warfare yet. Let's get off the wheel. And let's go... We're not interested in warriors. We don't need them. So let's take writing and then masonry into organized warfare. That's the shortest path that we have available. And I'm going to need a couple archers if I want to deal with them, if they have a proper garrison there. So we're going to be a little delayed in attacking black, which is totally fine. We've already been very aggressive this game, as you all are aware. But very, very slow on science. So slow, in fact, I'm going to move some folks over and start buying some of these things. Okay. Can still go after blue, though. So maybe that's my next target. Right, you're just waiting. Suppose Harappa up here could also be a potential target. Well, we're just going to take this one because that moves us along the homeland axis. Over here. Wondering if we can get to one of these before they become a city.
An enormous.
These guys might be a problem. Okay, never mind. You all are coming back. Because we need to deal with this thing right here before it starts pillaging all my stuff. Still not enough influence to settle an outpost there. Okay, the Harappans... It's not like a proper army, but it's enough to dissuade me from sieging them without backup. So I think we've about hit the limits of what we can do in the early game, just running around with some Assyrian raiders. We're going to have a proper military. Aside from right here, who we can definitely still besiege. What I'm going to do is pull these raiders off. Let's run down over that way. And I'm just going to maintain a presence here with scouts. Shit. How did they do that so fast? Well, let's get a Dunu. Put it like right there. We'll pull these raiders back so that come help deal with that. Okay. We're also going to well, yeah, 5 turns is a long time to build a district. I'm like struggling a little bit with influence right now, but I think this is still worth doing. These attachments aren't super good spots, so I don't really lose that much, relatively speaking. String order better, I can move them. Not really. Still have to build one in the main city itself. That's fine. Build it like right there, maybe. The potential stability benefits from those garrisons later in the game are really nice, so I do like to have a full contingent of them available. Okay, they're holding. You're exploring. Who's the blue? The Carolines. Okay. Okay, I got a little gold from pillaging there. They're attacking me with 2 armies, so gonna have to retreat from that one, I'm afraid. It's a really annoying spot for an aggressive, independent people to have spawned. Alright, we need to attach an outpost here, so we're going to do that. Need to prop up my outputs here a little bit, and we're going to put someone on science as well. Science output down here is really poor at the moment, or just in my empire in general, really. So we can get that pillaged before they pop up. I'm hoping they don't just spawn next turn. Okay, Assur. So we haven't built our obelisk yet. I am thinking about building it in Mykene because it's somewhat central and going to struggle a little bit more with stability. It's not a bad spot there, honestly. So there's now more adjacency to the obelisks, so there's more incentive to just actually build them near or in the city. Let me go ahead and buy out that animal barns and get the obelisk going. So the amount of faith you get is now just +10, and you get some more from adjacency. Also going to grab this reduced religious district industry cost, and that'll speed up the production of the obelisk ever so slightly. As well as any future holy site wonders that I get, which is usually the effects that I'm interested in when I pick up that that particular civic. Okay. Might end up having these scouts come down here and disbanding. So waiting to settle that one. Purple. Where is purple? They're up there. Okay. Please, please, please. Oh my god. Spearmen. Yeah, I'm not sure I can win that fight. What's their deployment look like? It's really bad. I'm gonna try it. And they have reinforcements. Okay, never mind. I am hiding up on the high ground. I should have checked their strength before I accepted that battle. Thankfully, their archers are in a very... Man, that variance is wild. They went from doing 1 damage to doing 20 damage with their shots. So I'm just going to camp up there. Okay, going to grab this +1 city cap. Pretty important for us this game. Really, honestly, one of the best civics in the game. There's almost no reason to grab the other one in any game you'll ever play. I'm going to go ahead and reattach this territory here. And I'm going to disband both of these scouts to provide Gnosis with some population. Do something like that. There we go. Get a little army here. Already selected that. What's that unit? Scout. Okay. I'm gonna go for the bully here again. Yeah, that's enough horse support. Looks like they are not selling, so we'll just be starving them out for a little bit. And these guys are going to hang around for a minute until I can get another unit to help deal with those armies there. But I need that infrastructure there. Let's grab another rider. Or raider, I guess. Not rider. They are riders, but not officially in their title. Okay. Okay, this is actually, this works for me. To put the archers in the garrisons. So as you can see, makes a pretty big difference as far as their combat strength goes, especially when now you have 2 garrisons right next to each other. Even like that high ground doesn't do an amazing job for them. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and change here. Kill that chariot. Sure, we're getting combat strength adjacency. Okay, I survived, which was really my only objective for that fight. Still need 200 influence to place an outpost. I've been delayed on placing outposts, really. I want a full army in here. Let's put this guy in auto explore, I think. That guy, I'm just going to put him on permanent snooze. Okay. I'm going to grab this outpost in here first, if I can. Okay, or they're going to attack me, from which I will retreat. I can claim a wonder, and there are a lot of good options still available, actually. So, stables is an interesting one. Going to be using a lot of mounted units this game. So I think this one's a very natural option for me. The +1 land movement speed, really good. +2 combat strength, -25% unit upkeep for mounted units, really good. Let's grab that one. It's not such a natural pick in a lot of games that I play, but in this game it seems really obvious. Okay, unfortunately they became a city there. Let's start dealing with these independents. Let's see. Have I... I don't have the thing where I produce rams yet, so I just have to starve these guys out for a bit. Let's put the archers back here on the high ground, where they won't get eaten alive. So quite a bit of damage done to them, but not as bad as it could be. Alright. And I'm going to go for distribute. I'm not interested in that plus 5% money at this point in the game. I'm going to refuse the non-aggression pact pretty much categorically, I think, this game. Go ahead and grab that there. And let's put these guys back on science. Everyone expert here. We're going to put everyone on science and then industry money like that. And we're also going to want stoneworks, and we're going to want that first. It's more efficient than the Maker's Quarter. Okay, so my solution here, gonna attack the city. Then once I have organized warfare researched, send them up to reinforce there, and then I can assault because I'll actually have archers to get rid of the defenders. So now I can attack, and they just have to take attacks from my archers or run into my cavalry, which are significantly higher combat strength than their units. Okay, and we're going to pillage the city because it is crap. Okay, not liking this here. All right. Don't really... Let's see. Where do I want the stables? Probably build them in Osor, to be honest. It's not a bad spot. Anywhere that I would think is better? Probably not. Yeah, let's put it there. Since I'm pillaging that city anyway, may as well put its production towards something longer term. Don't need to work on the stables right now. Can be lower in the priority order. All right. There we go. No longer over the city cap, and let's go reinforce. And this way we can assault right away. Because we can shoot with our archers. Even though we can't attack into the city with the raiders, but that's fine. Okay, so we'll finish this up next turn, hopefully. Have you come back? Actually, I need to explore down here as well. And I do have enough to get an outpost in this area. Right there. We want some of these luxury resources that are there. Really wish there were some more outposts down on the part of the AI that I could go after. On unfortunately there are not, so my income's a little more limited than it might otherwise be. Let's grab wheel. Move you on industry. I'm gonna go on expert in here. Do something like this. It's a ruin there. Yeah, these aren't great places to move the maker's quarters. Like I think I'm gonna start some makers up in this direction because this territory has a lot more production up here. Okay, I'm gonna start pillaging that, and I'm hoping they'll attack me. They are the Celts now, so I need to be cognizant that they'll have swordsmen very soon. And let's finish this up. Gonna get him safe. Move a new one there. I didn't realize I had scouts there, actually. Wasn't paying attention. Alright. You come chill over there. And let's drop an outpost. Okay. Finish up a war. We're going to grab that. We're going to grab a Dunu over here. I'm going to force their surrender. Give me your stuff. Thank you very much. And I think there's a question of whether or not I want to keep the city. I think the answer is no. It's just, there's pretty much no development in that city at all. I'm going to combine these raiders, and I'm going to send the scout back to kind of be absorbed into Mykene, and I'm going to pillage the city here. I'm going to let that city work on the stables with its very limited production. And make sure we have bronze working before we leave the era. I am going to move someone back onto industry to finish up some other things more quickly. Okay. Trade luxuries with the Axumites, I'm going to refuse. Okay. They're in a position where I want to attack them. Okay. So retreat, I'm going to continue pillaging here. Okay, there goes one opponent. Make sure we grab that territory. Disband here. We'll combine some resources here and then go after that city. We don't really want them there. Kind of an annoying spot for them to be. Now, Nok, on the other hand, we might establish contact with them and make them a client state. They're in a more kind of sustainable position for us. These guys kind of feel like they're in the way a little bit. Though, maybe not. I think the question is, do I want to invest the influence to get them? I'll revisit that next turn, maybe. They're still idling. Didn't do a very good job exploring the map with my scouts this game. Get more resources that way, typically. Oh wow, we're at, now we're in 11 already. Let me check my stars really quick. See, I've done a pretty good job. I forgot to get an envoy, which is fine. I don't usually get many diplomat stars anyway. Didn't get any merchant stars, which is also fine. Would like to finish up the stables. I also need the embassy. Not sure what a good spot for it is. Maybe over here somewhere. We'll think about that in a second. I'm going to pick up an envoy, I think. And yeah, I think I might. I'm gonna bring these guys over this way. I'm going to concentrate my forces towards the Harappans. I think this is going to be a bit of a longer episode here. Definitely already is. We're at 1 hour and 12. I'll retreat again. So if I could get 2 armies up to Harappa, I'll feel pretty good about my chances there. Do that. Be nice to get that combat strength bonus before I do anything rash with the Harappans. I'm going to go ahead and claim my own outpost here. Popped out a Dunu. You on auto explore because I don't really want to deal with you. I'm not sure what the effective study is. It's a big gold cost for this early in the game, but I'm going to roll with it and see what I get. I also have not bought things in this outpost yet. We'll return to that in a moment. I'm going to have this guy come over here so he can claim this territory, and I can start purchasing some more of these luxury resources, which I definitely need. I can feel the lack of strength in the cities that I do have. To be honest, they're not very good cities. But I am hoping to remedy that with the Harappans here. And I'm hoping that they don't have like a giant army of swordsmen that I'm not seeing. They have 13 pop, so this will be a little more challenging. But I think I have enough archers that it shouldn't be a problem. Great. Lost a pop. Oh well. Okay, let's make sure we're buying stuff. I am kind of delaying going up just because I want to have Dunus in all these territories, but we should really be picking the Goths here. I don't want to delay my tech anymore. It's already a little bit on the slow side. Keep you idle there for another turn just so I can get an outpost down there. We're very interested in the silk in that territory too. Keep idling you. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and era up. We did manage to get a merchant star, which is nice. So we'll be taking the Goths for the next era. Continuing the raiding theme, though I haven't been able to pillage as much as I would hope this game. But they get plus 10% ransack bounty gained as science per number of units on army. So if you have 4 units in the army, you get a 40% ransack bounty gained as science. And they get extra influence on garrisons. I always found that a bit of an odd effect because I feel like their tumulus should be a garrison or something, but it's a commons quarter, so it doesn't even benefit their own emblematic district, which is a little bit weird. But they get the Gothic cavalry, pretty strong unit, but a very hefty resource requirements. So 8 horses and 5 iron, but 29 combat strength, 6 base movement, pretty good. Main problem with cavalry, of course, is that at this point in the game, a lot of the battles are going to be sieges, and you're never going to have like ballista. You don't want to take the time to sit there and siege this late in the game. So they're just not as good in a lot of the situations that you're going to use them. Whereas in the early game, the Assyrian raiders can do a lot of damage just through besieging cities because it's the only city the enemy has and they can't like come reinforce and boot you off. The tumulus is a little bit weird because it doesn't exploit anything. The main thing about it that we're interested in is the plus 5% ransack gains on army. So you can stack that up to pretty decent numbers. So we're grabbing the Goths, entering the next era. And before we wrap this episode up, I would, A, really like to get this outpost down. Just plop it right there. Okay, and B, we're going to set ourselves up with declaring war on the Harappans, I think. Though maybe I can just wait till the next episode, considering we're already an hour and 17 in, which I think is what I'm going to do. Also, I somehow don't have the first tenant yet, which is a little surprising to me. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. It hasn't quite been what I expected, but a little less rating than I had hoped for, but also you can see just how powerful the Assyrians can be in the right circumstance this early in the game, right? There are very few other cultures that you can do something like this with, like right at the start of the game, just due to the sheer how early the unit comes online and the sheer combat strength that they have so early in the game, and how fast they can move, right? Like I can get over to Gnosis in like 2 or 3 turns from Ossuar. So pretty good demonstration, I think, of some of the uses of the Assyrian raiders in the early game. But we'll be back soon with the Goths, which I think is probably one of the worst cultures in the classical era, but we'll see what we can do with them. So thanks for tuning in. See you soon.